We were cleaning up, and I was helping one of the new students while getting to know him. Eventually, I asked him where he had moved from and told him that his accent sounded really cool. It sounded like he was from Louisiana or something. He proceeded to tell me that he's lived in Texas his whole life and that his accent was just a speech impediment. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Youth Group Chronicles. For the first time in the history of the podcast, we are having two co-hosts back on the show together.
Oh, this is
Antonio Sanchez and Isaiah Smallwood. Welcome to the show, guys. If this is your first time listening to the show, this is where we blind react to, well, my co-hosts blind react to the crazy, wild,
it's not true,
out-of-pocket, crazy, hilarious stories from youth group that people send into the show. So we will kick this off with some email submissions here. This is from Adam. Adam said, we played a relay game with our youth group that involved each team running up to a bucket that held thousands of M&Ms, and the students had to take them back to their team with a color, and then they get a point for doing that. If they had different color M&Ms in their bucket, it was a negative point, and if there were any brown M&Ms in their bucket, it was negative 10 points.
Hold on.
I already knew.
Hold on. I don't like this.
I've been listening to this podcast too long.
I don't like this.
One team, however, was screaming at one of the students on their team who was getting more and more upset with himself. Without fail, he was bringing back the wrong color M&Ms as well as a ton of brown M&Ms.
What's up with this?
After the game ended, the team was livid and they were ripping into this kid. So trying to get control of the situation, I went over to talk to the team. Turns out this high school student had no idea that he was colorblind.
All right.
Well, kudos to him for not seeing color. Wait.
What?
Hey,
I mean, okay.
Right,
y'all
that's
know
not the turn I thought it was going to take.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not seeing color, not
Colorblind.
because...
Colorblind. Shout out, Ben. Shout out, Ben.
Hey, guys. Thanks for watching YouTube Chronicles. YouTube Chronicles?
YouTube Chronicles. We are going to say hello to our live audience on Instagram tonight.
Thanks.
Hey, guys. Happy Memorial Day. Hope everyone's having an awesome weekend.
I turned it off.
What's going on a t-shirt, Sierra?
I don't see color.
I don't see color.
I don't see color. That's crazy.
I don't see color. Okay, that's going to be a t-shirt.
That's crazy. Hey.
This is a story from Jen. And Jen said, one time we played a game where our youth pastor soaked some hot dogs in hot sauce overnight, and two people raced against each other to see who could eat them the fastest. The catch was that those eating them had to have their hands behind their back, while another person stood behind them and used their arms through the armholes of their shirt to start feeding these people the hot dogs. Unfortunately, though, the kid that was picked for the game had a knack for saying yes to pretty much everything. So his arms start force-feeding him spicy hot dogs at a rate so alarming, we weren't even sure he was chewing them. But what he didn't tell us is that he can't handle spicy food. So he proceeded to regurgitate the hot dogs in a similarly alarming rate all over our new carpet.
That's nasty.
Everyone in the crowd started screaming as this poor kid just stood there, tears streaming from his face, and chewed hot dog all over his clothes, face, hands, and carpet. And then we had to carry on the youth service like nothing happened.
Dude, who comes up with these games? I feel like there has to be like
a gag.
Yeah, literally. There has to be like a list of games that you can play at youth group. It has to be universal. Like
all I want to know is what youth group is downing spicy glizzies as a race.
Spicy glizzies,
this is crazy.
Boy. That's crazy.
That has to be.
That's so crazy.
It has to be
dog.
some place in Texas.
Texas?
A place in Texas.
It has to be Texas. And then for some reason, it's giving Texas. For real. I don't know why.
Yeah. I got to see it. Message her back and see where it came from.
Where is it at?
Where you live, Jen?
I want to know where.
Please let us know.
I'll have to do some digging into that. This is from Jeremy. Jeremy said, our youth group did what's called a purple potty fundraiser. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this, it's when you announce to the church that you're going to start putting a toilet on the front lawns of random people in the congregation. The only way that they can avoid this is by donating to the fundraiser. However, if this toilet does end up in your yard, you can just pay to have the prank pulled on someone else. Now, near the end of this fundraiser, I was reached out to by one of our church families who wanted us to send it to their sister on Thanksgiving morning, who lives about an hour and a half away from the church. They also asked if we could put poop inside this toilet and then take off the paper explaining that it was a fundraiser. They were willing to pay us $250, which is way more than we had been getting so far.
Yep.
So I agreed to it without telling any of our youth or other staff. So on Thanksgiving Eve around midnight, we drove this toilet to this lady's house. We filled it with dog poop, got a picture, and then we sent the evidence to this family. So we were waiting all morning to hear the news of this family's reaction. When out of nowhere, the family that wanted us to do this texted me and said, "This never happened." Apparently, when her sister saw the toilet on her front yard, her first reaction was that there was a bomb in the toilet.
Oh, no.
Except she didn't post on Facebook to double check if this was a prank like a normal person would. She called the police and they sent a bomb squad to check the purple toilet in the yard just to find a pile of dog poop and some flowers inside. I literally have not heard from this family since.
She looked outside. She said,
It's a
terrorists.
bomb. Terrorists. It's a bomb.
Terrorists. This is terrorism. This is an act of violence.
I do like the idea of the prank though.
I think
like
it's a
that.
cool prank.
I don't know about the poop.
When you
and all
leave
that
like
stuff,
the
but
description on the toilet, it can work.
Not a Barney
Yeah,
colored toilet
yeah, I think so.
sitting in my lawn.
this is not a bomb.
with
This
dog
is
doo-doo in
a
it.
church
This is
prank.
crazy to me. It's got ISIS.
I want to
written all over
know why that escalated that quickly. Like, why is your
Yeah.
first thought that someone's putting a bomb?
it. She said,
She had to been like.
She said-
she had to been old though. Like, I don't think
"That's
a
a
younger,
bomb."
I don't think a younger person's getting like scared like that, right? So she had to be
Yeah, I
like
don't know.
an
I
older
don't know who it
lady.
could be, but either
I'm
way.
assuming she's
That would be.
Doris
That would
was
not would be
terrified.
what I would be thinking. That, like
Doris
right
was
off the bat.
terrified.
Not
by a bomb.
Doris.
She said, "It's a bomb. It's a landmine."
Micah on Instagram Live said she was a homeschooler mom. Would my mom do that?
We are not talking about Julia.
What do you
Don't
think?
bring Mama Moss into this.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
No, she wouldn't. I don't know anybody that would do that, but
Yeah.
this is a story from Jonathan. Jonathan said, during a youth group lock-in one year, we had a newer female chaperone that my wife and I were also getting to know more. It was about 2 or 3 a.m., that time where you as the youth minister are just exhausted and the filter has slowly started to fade. The kids were playing Nerf Wars, and I'm sitting talking with this new chaperone.
Lock-ins are never a good idea.
Not at all.
They're never
This
good.
one kid runs up toward us, points a Nerf gun at me, and fires. To his surprise, it was one of those bent Nerf bullets, so it shot off sideways, traveling only like 2 feet and then fell to the ground. He looked at the ground completely defeated and then just ran off. Now remember, I had hit exhausted mode at this point, filter disappearing, phase of tiredness. I, without hesitation, looked over at her and said, "Performance issues."
Yo, these people are wild, bro.
No
Zay
comment.
has the best faces.
What?
Zay has the best faces. I just want shout out Zay for the facials. Pause.
Hey, yo. Hey, yo. What's going on?
Cheer, bro. Cheer,
Instagram Live.
cheer
These are our
makes you,
guests
bro.
tonight, by the
This
way.
is crazy.
Cheerleading, bro,
He said-
makes you say some of the
He
wildest
said
things.
pause.
I'm
Not
sorry,
performance
guys.
issues. How does he
Not
know?
performance issues.
How does he know what that looks like? What's his name?
I'm not going to read you
Jonathan.
his name again.
I remember his name.
Jonathan.
Jonathan.
How did you remember that?
What's going on? How's home? Huh?
That's
You married, buddy?
crazy.
This
going on?
this is
Gosh.
another story
And if
from
you're not, what do you know about performance issues? What's going on? Wow. come
Corinne
on,
said the
not
one in the
sin.
green is hot, Antonio.
Big.
I
Shout out wifey.
I had-
Shout out baby mama.
Ain't she sleep?
Nah, she not asleep. She awake. She waiting for daddy to get home.
they're married, just so
Not
everybody knows.
daddy.
Listening to this.
Yep.
What she call you? Does she call you daddy?
Nah, she call me
No,
Tone.
I don't want to know.
She call you tone, huh?
She call me
Because
Tone.
you set that tone. Yeah.
Set that tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So you like that? Don't.
That's good. Don't.
nah,
you got to
come
fist
on.
bump me now. You
This is
can't. You
crazy.
can't let it go.
I'm not about to fist bump you.
Fist bump
on
me,
you
I
setting
said.
tone.
Dude, I call you
thought
Tone.
we
That
were
makes
all
me feel
friends. I got
uncomfortable
Trey's
knowing
got
that's
me.
what
All
Corinne
right,
calls
bet,
you.
bet.
That's setting.
What?
You're-
Ben. 15 seconds
Ben.
later, you finally get homeschooler.
He's got,
we got a lot
he
of
got jet
homeschoolers
lag.
in
You
the
got jet
studio.
Yeah,
lag.
we
man.
have
A
we
lot
have
of-
a live audience tonight. How many people we got in here? 1, 2, 3,
like 7.
7 or 8 people
Yeah.
chilling in the studio. This just makes it better, having a little bit of an audience. But you guys, you'll never be able to see them. I'm sorry.
They're like trying not to. They're like trying not to laugh loud either. Like they're
You
like,
guys can laugh. It's all
They
right.
said,
This
like
so
little
this is a story. This is another story from Jonathan, but it's a different Jonathan.
No, it's not.
He said,
if it's about performance issues, it's the same Jonathan.
One time at summer camp, I was making rounds to make sure everyone was in their rooms. As I walked into the last room full of junior high boys, they were all gathered around in a circle with one junior high boy in the middle.
This can't be good.
As I stepped in to see what was happening, I noticed that this boy had his shorts and boxers pulled down to his ankles.
What?
Before I could stop anything, he slapped a waxing strip onto his crotch and then one onto his butt crack. At this point, there was nothing that could be done except pull them off. As a high schooler ripped them off, the boy screamed and security was called by the neighboring rooms.
Oh my gosh. You think it was a dare? Or do you think he was just like, watch this?
I don't know what it was.
Dude, he'd never be allowed back. I'm just saying. Sorry, bro. You got to find a new youth group.
I have so many questions.
Go ahead and start. I'm
No,
curious.
we're not doing this.
This is from Miguel. Miguel said, during past youth trips, one of our van drivers kept calling me, joking that we left a student at the church. The first 2 times I fell for it, and then I stopped believing her, realizing that she was only trying to play a prank. Except this time on our summer camp trip, we made our first stop at a gas station and then continued down the road for 10 minutes. This same lady called me to explain that we had left Kaylee, a 13-year-old girl, at our recent gas station stop. I told her that wasn't a funny joke and then hung up the phone and just kept driving.
Oh, nah. Hey, Kaylee's sitting in front of me. What's going on? Stop joking with me.
She called back 2 more times to explain that we really left the student. After 20 minutes of driving and me just saying, no, you're joking, and hang up, another leader had to call me and explain that we really did leave this girl behind. We quickly turned around and drove back 20 minutes, which means Kaylee was left at the gas station for 40 minutes all alone. We showed up and we found her sitting out front on a bench waiting because she thought that we were just playing a joke on her.
I'd be hurt.
That's sad, is that what you said?
No.
Why do we have the compassionates in here tonight?
No.
It's
You wanna
probably
know
her.
what?
Honestly, it's probably her fault.
You want to know what
Let's
this
be
is?
honest.
This is a depiction of the rapture. If you don't get your life right, you're going to be left behind. That's it.
Shout out.
Everybody's
Zane,
gonna
spiritual.
go. Everybody's going to go. And you're going to be left at a gas station.
And then it's, yeah.
And nobody's
Shout
coming
out,
back.
Zay.
It's not a prank that time.
It's not going to be a
Preacher's
prank.
Day.
This is a story from Lily.
Rapture practice.
Lily said, when I was in youth group, my little sister, who was in 6th grade, was chosen for a game and went on stage during a youth conference. Her competitor was an 11th grade boy. A piece of plexiglass was brought out and the leaders spread peanut butter on both sides of it. Then told my sister and this guy to hold it between them. So it divided them with the point of the game to lick your side of the glass at the same time to get the most peanut butter off before the time was up. But what we didn't realize is as soon as the game started, it looked like my 6th grade sister and this 11th grade boy were making out in front of the entire youth conference.
Didn't think that one through. Not at all.
After that, they should have the guy who came out in that bathing suit
No.
be like, and while you're doing this, these are the places that you're not allowed to touch. Y'all remember that guy?
Did you hear that story, Antonio?
I don't think so.
That's because he doesn't watch the podcast.
That's all right.
I watch them here and there. I scroll through TikTok. I promise.
It's all right. There was this guy that this youth group went to a youth conference.
Yeah.
And this guy was wearing a trench coat, the speaker. And he ripped off
one
the
of my
trench
favorites.
coat and was wearing a one-piece leopard print bathing suit and said, wherever the bathing suit is touching, you should not be touching while dating.
Fired. Immediately fired.
Immediately fired.
There's no coming back from
You're
that.
a pedophile. You just
He did
exposed
that.
kids.
Nah, bro.
You're a pedophile.
I'm gonna
Officer
need you.
Joe, what
I'm gonna
have
need you to
say
clock
about
out, my man. I'm
Yo,
gonna need you to clock out
Exactly.
real quick.
I think it's burnt. Burnt _ toasted, I think is the name on Instagram. Said that you also don't listen to the podcast. He's calling you out.
Dang. I bet he's quoting
First
that.
of all,
He actually is quoting that.
you know what? Never mind. Because he was about to get roasted.
These are youth ministry fails. This is one of
Somebody
my
else
favorite
got
segments.
it. I'm so glad that you got that one.
I didn't
That's
hear it.
fine.
Oh,
That's a
roasted.
good one.
Roasted,
If you're
toasted.
listening to
Took me a
this
minute.
and you have stories that you wanted to send into the show, ygchronicles@gmail.com is where you can email them.
Freaking
If you're listening on Instagram, if you are listening to the podcast down the road. The show lives off your stories, so definitely send those in. This is from Brian. Brian said, my worst youth ministry fail was when I lost a fart contest by accidentally crapping all over myself.
Shut up, dude.
The worst part is that we were in a mall when it happened.
Wow.
Dude. First off,
Hey,
again, who comes up with these games, bro? I
you
need
have
to
some
know.
money in your pockets.
They're not spirit-led games, I'm telling you, 100%.
Tanya said, we had a youth group student test out pepper spray on his younger sister during a service one time. We first noticed the worship team start coughing and then various people with watery eyes. And when we realized what had happened, we had to throw open the doors and start passing out water to everyone in the building. I want to know how, like, the girl didn't scream.
Yeah. I have a similar story. It's wild.
Took it like a champ.
Yeah, honestly. She's like,
The worship team was like,
you think you're tough?
she was sitting there like, it's not just coming out.
Oh, man.
No, I'm taking this.
Pepper spray.
If you have stories, guys, ygchronicles@gmail.com.
Unless you're burnt, don't say nothing.
Going back to that last story about the fart contest, Stacy said that has boys cabin at church camp written all over it. And Brendan said, how do you not know it's going to be juicy?
What?
The fart contest.
Oh.
Dude, yeah. I mean, he's not wrong, though. You have to know, like, if I fart again, I'm crapping. Like, we're old enough to know this by now.
That was a leader. It wasn't a kid. It's even worse.
Even worse.
Let's see here. This is from Jeremy. Jeremy said, my youth pastor was preaching on Resurrection Sunday in front of the whole church, but he accidentally said erection and then got flustered and said it 3 more times in front of the whole crowd.
Well, something got up.
Hey, yo. Hey, yo.
He's not fully He's not fully wrong, y'all. I don't. What? Are we not gonna be mature about this?
No.
No, it's you.
Golly. What you mean? Some got up. If there's, you can't spell resurrection without erection. You can't. You
I'm
can't.
leaving.
And you can't.
I'm leaving. I'm gonna need you to clock out.
Seriously though.
Yo, that's so
Isaiah
wild.
is such a dad. Dang.
That's so crazy.
All right. Tears in
No, I'm
episode
playing.
1.
Can we have the word?
If you can get me to cry in an episode, you did a great job. And there's the tears.
Can we have the worship team
yeah,
come up, please?
can we have the worship team come up, please?
Guys, I'm done. Can the worship team come up?
This is a story from Jessica. Jessica said, my biggest youth ministry fail happened when we were doing a photo scavenger hunt around our town. One of the items on the list was flags from other countries. I immediately knew where to go and headed off to a corporate office in our town. It was the world headquarters for the Dow Chemical Company. So we whipped into the entrance, snapped some pictures of the world flags, and then went to take off. But before we could get out of the exit, we were stopped by security. And then seconds later, we're completely surrounded by Homeland Security.
Yep.
We were investigated and required to delete all our pictures as there was concern that we were there scoping out the place for an act of terrorism.
Dang.
One of the teenage girls was so traumatized, she was bawling in the back of the van. 2 days later, I even got an in-depth phone call from Homeland Security asking me for more details to make sure that we were not a threat.
Did they find any toilets?
Nah, dude. Honestly, I would have been so scared. That's
Black SUVs.
Yeah. It's like a movie scene, bro. You just black SUVs, people ARs
That's crazy.
popping out.
Yeah, nah, I ain't gonna lie.
That's a little scary.
I ain't gonna lie. I would have put my head. Guys, I ain't listen, guys.
We're part of church.
Chill out.
We're part of a church. Help.
You got
Get
it.
down, start praying in tongues.
You got it. It's yours. Whatever you just get me home. That's crazy. Yo, what's up with burnt? Like what's
Hey Sam,
what's
nice
going
angle.
on
We
with
got a
Bert
good
right
view
now?
of your nose. Thanks, bro. Or maybe it's a girl. I don't know.
I like this guy. I bet you that's his last. Oh, this is his last name. I was about to say I knew it.
This is a story from
Clever.
Micah. Micah said, my biggest youth ministry fail is when I told one of my students that he needed to get a pair. I meant to say get in a pair, like get in a group of people.
Okay. Man, you gotta think before you speak,
Yeah.
man.
Robbie said,
different.
a good friend of mine told 30 youth group students that if they didn't know what a stripper was, to just Google it.
Okay, think before you speak.
What's wrong with y'all? Y'all don't know what a stripper is?
Y'all know what a stripper is?
Just Google it. What's wrong with you? Google's free.
That's crazy to me. Y'all are 12. You should know what a stripper is.
Not instilling lust. It's
a fact.
Go Google
Yo.
strippers and come back so we can pray for you.
Oh, man. That's good.
The frick is wrong with you kids? Y'all don't know anything these days. It was probably homeschooler.
No.
It's probably homeschool.
It was probably homeschoolers.
Sam's like, I assure you, sir,
like-
it was not.
I get 30 minutes on the computer on Saturday. I'll use my time wisely
Right.
for research purposes.
For research purposes.
We'll do one more story here. This is from Fabian. Fabian said, my biggest youth ministry fail happened after an event. We were cleaning up and I was helping one of the new students while getting to know him. Eventually, I asked him where he had moved from and told him that his accent sounded really cool. It sounded like he was from Louisiana or something. He proceeded to tell me that he's lived in Texas his whole life and that his accent was just a speech impediment.
Guys, I grew up with a lisp. And when anybody ever made fun of
Isaiah
it,
Small.
I literally would cry.
Isaiah Smallwood.
I would go home and I'd be like, "Ooh." Like I'd start like throwing stuff around my room.
Now Isaiah out here like Mike
I
Tyson.
was so mad. But now you can make fun of it if you want to. I'm a grown man.
My
now.
wife had one too growing up. And the speech therapist
I see. I
would
almost just mimicked
it
it.
was actually her
I legit almost just mimicked it.
Let's go
her
outside.
teacher
Come on.
would say, all right, Sierra, you need to come to the front of the class and tell everyone where you're going. And then with a lisp, she would have to say her name and where she was going. I feel like that's absolutely cool.
Yeah, 100%.
Can we stop talking about this, please?
No.
Can we?
All right, we'll wrap up that episode right there. But if you have stories that you want to send in the show, ygchronicles@gmail.com. We would love to hear your stories and
roast
possibly
you.
feature them on the show. We don't roast all of them. Typically, when Isaiah's on the show, that does happen a little bit more often than others. Be sure to check out
That's crazy.
our YouTube channel,
Only if you
Youth
burnt
Group
toast.
Chronicles, up to over 2,500 subscribers
Love you, Burnt.
the day that we're recording this. So subscribe, hit that notification bell, and go check out the content there. You can find us on TikTok and also Instagram. Instagram is blowing up recently. We're getting like
Let's go.
500 to 600 followers a day on
That's
Instagram,
fire.
which is killing it. And then the podcast itself, you guys are awesome. We are getting 10,000 listens a week.
That's
Let's
crazy.
go.
10,000 listens
That's
a week.
crazy.
Yeah. So
Bro.
thanks everybody for listening to this episode. We will see you all next week.
Peace.
Yes, sir.